Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Jenny, I'm doing great. Just got the old Fox bet. Put me a couple of dollars down on my homeboy. We're going to talk about that. Gonna be rich.
Really? Interesting. Yep. Well, what I'd like to talk about is every time I look up, another NFL expert is picking the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East. How do you like that, Shannon?
I like it. For the last couple of years, I've been extremely right. So I will keep betting on who I think's gonna win. You keep listening to them and see who keeps giving up due. We winning. Okay.
That's how it's gonna work.
We 2-2.
Interesting. Good to know. Well, I'm feeling pretty nice and generous today. So how about we start by talking about Skip's Cowboys, because Dak Prescott and the Cowboys still haven't agreed on a long-term contract, but that hasn't stopped Dallas from loading up on weapons for the QB. After by far his best statistical season, Dak will not only have Amari Cooper returning, but will also have rookie wideout CeeDee Lamb. According to Fox Bet, Dak has the fourth best odds to win MVP this season, behind Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Russell Wilson. Skip, this is your team. I gotta start with you. Are you surprised by how high that is for Dak?
Jenny, I was shocked. I was stunned. I was dumbfounded. I even saw on Caesars last night on its website that it had Dak all the way up at third choice to be MVP at 9-1, not that far behind Mahomes at 4-1 and Lamar at 6.5-1. So, Shannon, the next thought I had, the next emotion I had was I threw up in my mouth a little bit, because now I fear that Dak will run back to Jerry and say, see, Jerry, I do deserve $42 million or whatever they're asking for a year. Dak, you do not deserve that much money, and I'm about to demonstrate to you why. 1 year ago, Mr. Sharpe, at this point, would you believe that Dak Prescott was 24th in the MVP odds? 24th. Now he's as high as third. He was 24th a year ago, and he was coming off a Pro Bowl year in which his Cowboys had won the NFC East. Wait a second. Even Zeke was way above Dak last year at this point. Zeke was 15th. Dak was 24th. So how do you explain that all of a sudden now he's coming off a year in which the Cowboys obviously and painfully went 8-8, and Dak did not make the Pro Bowl, and Dak had some nice stats, but some not so nice stats. Obviously, he was second in the league in passing. But Shannon, you pointed out to me there were so many empty calories last year against Green Bay and against Chicago. And he did wind up last year 5th in QBR. But that was because of those first 3 games where you told me they're playing terrible teams, and you were right. And Dak had QBRs of 94, scale 0 to 100, 94, and then an 86. So he went 94, 94, 86 right out of the box, and then hung on down the stretch when he crumbled. And remember, at New England, he had a 26, and at Philly in the game of the year, he had a 38 and missed Tavon on that throw of the year that might have tied the game. So, I thought Dak missed a lot of plays last year. So how in the name of Roger Staubach did he suddenly rise to third, as high as third in the MVP odds? I got an answer for you, Dak. CeeDee Lamb. I got an answer for you, Shannon Sharpe. CeeDee Lamb. I told you going into the draft, CeeDee Lamb was the best receiver in the draft. And lo and behold, thank you, football gods, he was 6th on the Dallas Cowboys board, and he fell all the way to them at 17, fell right out of heaven into their laps. And now the odds makers are all saying, oh my goodness, if you add CeeDee Lamb on top of Amari and Gallup and maybe a bounce back year from Zeke behind that offensive line, still top 5, with Blake Jarwin getting a lot of the Jason Witten snaps and Mike McCarthy overseeing instead of Jason Garrett. And the odds makers are saying, holy cowboy, here it comes. Dak Prescott could easily lead this league in yards passing and touchdown passes and be right in the thick of the MVP race. But Shannon Sharpe, does that mean Dak has suddenly morphed into a top 5 NFL quarterback? It does not. It simply means that Jerry Jones got him weapons. He's got weapons everywhere. He should be saying, thank you, football gods, for making me the Dallas Cowboy quarterback. It's why Stephen Jones said a couple days ago, the metrics show you that if you overpay your quarterback, it's going to be much harder to win because you're not going to be able to surround him with supporting cast. Dak has a sensational supporting cast, which is why Dak Prescott, listen to me now, swallow your pride, get back to the negotiating table, thank your lucky stars for CeeDee Lamb, and compromise. Get this deal done for $35 million a year. You'll still be the top paid quarterback in football and be happy.
Nah, that don't sound right. I mean, Fox Bet says I have great odds to be the MVP. Nah, I think I'm going to wait this one out. I really think I should. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Skip Bayless, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Oh, last year he was 24th. Now in some betting sites, he's up to 3rd. Okay. He's coming off a season in which he threw for over 4,900 yards. He's coming off a season in which he was 5th in QBR. He was 4th in touchdown passes. He's always had weapons. You make it seem like all of a sudden, you're talking about CeeDee Lamb has changed Dak's life. I see you crazy if you think CeeDee Lamb is the reason why Dak Prescott is as high as 3rd in some betting sites. Skip, this is what I like so much about you. All year long, when I was telling you Dak Prescott QBR it wasn't what it really is shaping up to be. You beat me over the head with your notes. Yes, it is. I say, Skip, what about the first 3 games? No, look at this. He's better than this guy. He's better than that guy. It comes time for him to get paid, and you bump him down behind Cousins. You put him behind quarterbacks you would have never done that for in the first 3 seasons. Now, all of a sudden, it's come time to get that payday. Nah, Dak. But what this tells me is that these betting sites, Fox Bet in particular, have a lot more confidence in old Dak Prescott than Jerry Stephen Jones does, Skip Bayless. That ain't looking good for you. See, like you said, everybody's going to Dak and say, well, Dak, look what Shannon Sharpe said and look at your numbers. And old Todd Fred slide that over there. Yeah, but I'm 3rd in betting sites. Look at 4,900 yards, 30 touchdowns, 5th in QBR, Rookie of the Year, 2 Pro Bowls, 2 divisions. Well, what is that word, Jerry? Because, let's see. How many times Matthew Stafford won that? Not that many, huh? And he got paid. So I need to get paid. Jared Goff got a resume very similar to mine. But you know what? I'm signing my contract a year and a half after his. So I need a 10, 15% raise in what he actually got, Jerry. Jerry, you know how this thing works. So, Skip, you need to stop this notion is that now, all of a sudden, you and Cowboy fans, when I used to say Dak wasn't as good as his numbers would indicate, you called me crazy. You called me the #1 Cowboy hater, you and all their fans. Now it's time for him to get paid. You're using what I've been saying all along and because you don't want to pay him. And then if you were to get him on the deal that you want, you go like, Jerry got him. I told you Jerry's going to win out. And Dak said, no, he's not. I'm going to get my money. I need that money because guess what? The first 4 years, I was underpaid. And nobody said that I was underpaid. Oh, that was the contract. That's the contract. Dak said the next contract I get is going to be the contract, and I'm going to be compensated handsomely for my work.
Shannon Sharpe, do you believe that Dak Prescott is a top 5 NFL quarterback?
I believe Dak Prescott should be the highest paid quarterback based on the position and the timing in which he signs this contract. That's how it works, Skip. It's not about if you're good or not. That's not what it's about. You know that. You know what free agency is about. It's about being free. It's about putting yourself in the best situation possible in order for you to maximize this opportunity. Dak walked off the field healthy. He's 100%. And he's been there 4 years. 64 up, 64 down is what he started. And he's been durable. He's been dependable. And so now he should be compensated for that.
I think you just answered my question. You don't think in any way, shape, or form Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback. You don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. You don't even think he's a top 15. You think he's somewhere in the middle, somewhere down there at 17, 18, because last year you repeatedly gave him Fs for his performance. You repeatedly said empty calories against Green Bay in the comeback and at Chicago in the fourth quarter comeback. You repeatedly said the first 3 games were garbage against garbage teams. And I'll give you that part of it. And in the end, Dak Prescott did not have as good a year this past year as he had the year before when he did make the Pro Bowl and win the division. It's hard to sell him as a $40 million quarterback coming off this past season because he didn't play like one. Again, Patrick Mahomes is going to get 40-something million, 42, 43 a year, probably for 5 years, with a ton of it, maybe almost all of it guaranteed. But Shannon, I give you a website, overthecap.com. They did a big breakdown yesterday of what does Dak really deserve at this point in time. And they came to the conclusion that offer that Jerry has made, which is around 35 a year, is fair, that he deserves maybe 36. But in overall guaranteed money, given what the market has borne so far up to this point, that he deserves maybe 90 million of it guaranteed, as opposed to what I've read has been offered, which is closer to 110 million guaranteed. So the point is, Shannon, on the table right now is a deal that would make Dak Prescott easily the highest paid quarterback in all of football. Now, in short order, Deshaun and Mahomes are going to get some more money. Not hugely more, but some more money. The point is, Dak has not earned, and I don't think he's going to earn any more than 35, which is sensational money. What they're asking for, as I've told you again and again, is out of bounds, unrealistic, outrageous money. And you don't merit it under this cap. There is a hard salary cap in the National Football League. And I'm sorry, I don't want to wreck my team's chances going forward. Dak Prescott has to be grateful for the weapons he has, for the 12-odd national TV commercials he has, and for the power of being the quarterback of not only America's team, but of a team that has a chance, maybe next year or at least the next year, to win a Super Bowl, maybe a couple of Super Bowls. Dak, you have to be grateful for what's sitting on the table before you. Great money and a great, potentially, football team.
See, Skip, that's the problem that I have. And that's how y'all do us. That's how the quarterback comes available. Be grateful. You should be glad that you're playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. You should be happy that you're in the NFL. Bump that. I've earned this contract underthemarket.com, in which I'm looking at right now. I just made that up. That's just my own site. When Dak was making $500,000, was he underpaid? Nobody came to Dak and said, Dak, this is what we're going to do. When he made $1 million his second year, after coming off Rookie of the Year, winning the division, going 13-3, where was Jerry then? Where was all these sites saying Dak was overpaid? He was underpaid and nobody gave him a bump in pay. Now it's my turn. I've waited 4 years to get what's mine. I'm not taking a penny less than what I believe I deserve. And be grateful I'm your quarterback. Because you remember what you were? You keep, Tony Romo, you keep talking about Dak doesn't deserve to be top 5. I don't believe Amari Cooper. You will not find one GM that says Amari Cooper is a top 5 receiver, but yet they made him the highest paid receiver in all of football. Now when it comes time to me getting paid, it's a hard cap. Dak, you don't deserve this. It's all the weapons. Well, what about when I didn't have all those weapons? You didn't say anything then. I'm going to get my money one way or another. And guess what? I'm standing pat. 4,900 yards. Skip, all the things that you're saying now. Oh, he missed Tavon. You didn't say it then. All these things when I was saying that he didn't make the throw against, hold on. When I said he didn't make the throw against New Orleans and he came up small against New England. You talking about your quarterback week after week after week. You gave him B+, B, A minus, A+. Now all of a sudden, you want to downgrade him. See, you're the type of guy want to say, you don't say anything good in the heat of the moment. But now when I'm done, you want to give me flowers. No, Skip Bayless. But you did it flip side. You was talking all good in the process when it wasn't good. And now when it's time to get paid, you want to dig up, well, look at this right here. Look at this throw. These were empty calories. Like you said, you never said they were empty calories at the time he was eating them. You say they were good calories, nutritious, dense. Now all of a sudden I need 37 million. I need 100 million fully guaranteed. You're balking. Nah, balk all you want to. I'm going to get my money. You paid everybody else. Is DeMarcus Lawrence a top 5 defender? Hell no. But you paid him like one. So now it's my turn to get paid. Oh, you come up with all these. He's not top 5. Top 5, Skip. There's so many guys that's not top 5 in their position that's getting that because they hit the market when they were free. Dak plays a premium position. He's 26 years of age, probably be 27 shortly, and he deserves to get paid. It's not about being good. It's not even about what's being deserved. It's about playing a position and being available. Dak has done everything. He's checked all the boxes with the exception of getting to the NFC Championship game, the Super Bowl, and winning. But he's 26 and he has time to do all that. Nah, he's not grateful and he shouldn't be grateful. Be grateful that God gave him that ability and he's been able to stay healthy. Now pay that man and stop talking about we should be grateful. You should be grateful he's your quarterback.
For the record, I twice last year gave him C+ for those games at New England and at Philadelphia. I did not love the way he played in those games. I do still love Dak Prescott. Nobody has defended him more than I have. But enough is enough. Okay, reality is reality. I've never said he was a top 5 quarterback. I'll give you top 10. I think he's on the edge of the 10 best quarterbacks. I'd make him 9 or 10 right now. And durability is certainly an ability. 64 for 64. He could have played in 64 games. He has played in all 64 games. I love that about him. I do believe he's a gamer. I believe he's a baller. I believe he is a comeback kid. I believe he will fight you to the death as he fought Green Bay and Chicago to the death. Was it easier to throw for those yards in the fourth quarter? I told you then. Yeah, it gets a little bit easier in the fourth quarter. But still, he was extraordinary in the comeback against Green Bay and against Chicago. But I can't, in the end, sell 8-8. He didn't have his best year. He had a better year when he was a rookie than he did last year. Is it some regression? I don't know. All I know is he's not better than Patrick Mahomes. I give you that. I have conceded that on this show numerous times. I've told you numerous times I would take Deshaun just slightly over Dak Prescott. So I can't argue that he deserves more money than they're going to get. We're not sure what they're going to get, but Dak and his new agent, Todd France, are trying to predict the market, and they want more money than they think those guys will get. And if you get up into the 40-some million a year, you've lost me. Dak Prescott was a 4th-round draft choice, and again, he doesn't have sensational ability. He just maxes out what he can do with his arm and his legs. So again, I'm trying to be objective about my quarterback, and I'm telling you, all my intel tells me Dak Prescott is asking for absurd money, the kind of money that no owner in his right mind would pay. And yet Shannon Sharpe, president of the Cowboy Haters, wants to see Dak Prescott wreck my salary cap and ultimately my locker room, tear it all apart where people are saying he got that much money. Again, Dak is the leader of this team. He is the face of the franchise, but you can't so overpay him that you wreck your chances of winning championships. And Dak Prescott has to do, I've always called him Brady-esque. Tom Brady took $25 million to go to Tampa for the next 2 years. Dak is already scheduled to make $31.4 just if he accepts the tag. On the table right now is $35 million. So next year, Dak Prescott could make $10 more million than Tom Brady will make. The GOAT. A team that I think has a chance to get to the Super Bowl in Tampa. And we're going to talk about this later. I think Tom Brady has a real good shot at winning MVP next year. And he willingly took $25 million, which is still the most he's ever made in his career. He always has taken less to maximize his team's chances against the cap to win championships.
Skip, that's Tom. You do realize that after Tom's second year, they tore his contract up and gave him an extension. And then after 2 years after that contract, they gave him another extension. Dak Prescott had to play this all the way out. Second of all, Dak Prescott is a better quarterback now than he was as a rookie. His team record might indicate they were better, the team. But Dak Prescott is a better player now than he was then. You know that, I know that. No. So stop trying to minimize it.
I don't know that.
And you said you gave Dak a couple of C's in 2 games. Skip, they played 16 games. So the other games, you didn't mention anything about them going 8-8. You were talking about getting B's and A's. Now, all of a sudden, it comes time to get his money. Now you want to give him D's and C's and F's. Don't do that, Skip. And guess what? You had a chance. You had Dak on a rookie contract. That's your opportunity to put everything about. Remember how they did it with Russell Wilson? They got to 2 Super Bowls. They won 1. You see what happens, Skip? His payday's going to come. That balloon payment we talked about is going to come due. And he's going to eat into a large chunk of that contract. So that's why when Russell Wilson started getting that money, they had to start disassembling it. You see Richard Sherman had to leave. Cam Chancellor retired. Earl Thomas had to leave. You look at all the pieces they had to start chipping away with. So basically now they got KJ Wright, they got Bobby Wagner, they got Russ. That's it. From that star-studded franchise when they got all those all-decade players. Skip, Dak Prescott deserves this. He was underpaid for 4 years, but now you want to try to make sure he stays underpaid again. Nah, Dak said,
No, I don't.
There's a reason why Dak took Todd France, because he knew lesser agents would have caved to this kind of pressure. And Todd France has been in the business far too long. He won't cave. I'm going to get what I deserve.
Okay. Yeah. Time out. Last question. I need you to explain to me in a nutshell how the quarterback that you gave F's to much of the year last year, the quarterback that you dismissed as mediocre at best, should get $42 million a year from Jerry Jones. Explain that to Jerry.
I'll do it to you in as simple terms as I possibly can. He plays a premium position. He's free. And the last quarterbacks that signed in front of him that you have constantly said that he was better than got X. So he don't deserve anything less than Y and Z. That's what you said. You said he's better than Wentz. You said he's better than Goff. And he played his contract completely out. They did not. Okay, then. And you want me to take less money than them on the guarantee side?
No. He's been offered more than Jared Goff and more than Carson Wentz. It's on the table right now. Take it.
We do fully, over here at O'Shea's place, we do fully guaranteed. I sign my name, this is how much I'm getting. Not with caveats. If you're on the team at the league year, get injury guarantees. No, we do fully guaranteed. I sign Sharpe, that's what I'm getting.
No mercy.
Michael Jordan said before The Last Dance aired that he was afraid people would think he was a mean person after viewing the documentary. While we've had a behind-the-scenes look at how passionate Jordan was about winning, we've also seen just how far he'd go to motivate teammates, which some have called bullying. So, Shannon, is The Last Dance helping or hurting Jordan's image?
I think it's doing two things. Two things can be true, Skip. You've heard me say that several times. On the one hand, Skip, there are a lot of people that were not around or they were too young to remember that Michael Jordan, a lot of people think the shoes, but trust me, he was a hell of a ball player even before the shoes. And Skip, they're getting an opportunity to see just Michael Jordan. I mean, I don't know how much they go back and YouTube it, but you're getting an opportunity. And I think ESPN has done a great job of putting this together and putting it out there for the viewing public. But on the flip side of that, Skip, I think it's showing he was worried about that, of how he's being portrayed in practice and what he was doing and able to motivate his team to get them ready to go. Skip, after the show yesterday, I got off the phone and I was thinking, I'm trying to think, and I'm like, there has to be someone that some people will understand when I say this, there's a great comparison to. And I got on the phone and I said, Steve, you know what? Michael Jordan is Bobby Knight, the great Indiana coach. And to some fans and a lot of coaches, the ends justified the means. Now, Isaiah Thomas would have a very different story to tell than Rex Reed, who he ended up ultimately losing his job for. That is who he is, Skip. But he graduates his players. Those guys win national titles. And you see what you do? That's who Michael Jordan was. You justify it by saying, look at the titles they won. He got those guys a lot of money. Ends doesn't justify the mean. If you said, okay, yes, Shannon, he bullied those guys, don't dress it up any other way. Don't say, well, there's no ill intent in his heart. Because I'm sure there's a lot of coaches and those fans in Indiana said, but he loved those kids. And one moment he would grab them and jerk them by the shirt and yell and scream and curse. And the next minute he'd put his arms around them. He loved them. He had no ill intent in his heart. He had no hatred. That doesn't mean jack. He bullied those, and that's why he said what he said, Skip. He knew how this documentary would portray him. Not so much the basketball player shooting the ball on the court, but the behind the scenes and some of the things he said. Skip, I'm trying to figure the difference between Draymond Green calling KD the female dog and Michael Jordan calling Scotty Burrell the garden utensil. I'm just trying to figure how they're different. One guy's like the other guy isn't. So we deem what Michael Jordan was motivating. How do we know KD wasn't trying to Draymond wasn't trying to motivate KD? You see, what we've started to see, Skip, and we've seen this over the last couple of years. If we like someone, we're more willing to accept their actions and their behavior, no matter how bad and grotesque it is. And I don't need to go back and say when. I'm saying the last 4 years or so. You know what I'm talking about. We're willing to accept that if we like that person. I think Michael Jordan has such a high Q rating, such a high approval rating. We will accept behavior even though we know it's wrong because we like said individual.
Okay, time out. So I had to sit here on Friday and sit here on Monday listening to you dismiss Michael Jeffrey Jordan as a straight up, flat out bully. A bully.
Yeah, he's a bully.
And you're telling me that you're not sure whether this has helped or hurt his image. Why didn't you say it's hurt his image? Because if he's who you say he is, it should destroy his image if he's a bully.
Skip. We see this every single day of what's transpiring, but because there's a popular segment that loves him, there's nothing he can do. To some, there's nothing Michael Jordan can do to tarnish what he's done. Skip, the shoe. It's got to be the shoe, Skip. It's got to be the shoe. I want to be like Mike. Come on, Skip, you know how this goes. If we like something, if we like someone, there's nothing getting us off that hill. And this is a hill that some is not going to come off of. They like Skip. I love Mike, the player. I just don't, me and his actions and how he motivated, that doesn't jive. It hadn't changed, Skip. It hadn't changed my perception. I just wouldn't have stood for it. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Okay. My point is that I'm sure some people out there, maybe a whole lot of people, are horrified by the behind-the-scenes Jordan they're getting to see because of this classic unseen footage. Behind the scenes at practice, behind the scenes in the locker room and on the team plane. Shannon Sharpe had never seen any of this or heard any of this. And now we hear Michael Jordan calling Scott Burrell not only a garden utensil, but he called him the B word also. He went Draymond on him, right? And you said there's no way you as a man would have taken that from him. But I just read a piece in USA Today, a big interview with Scott Burrell, in which he applauded Michael for all that he did. We're going to go deeper into this piece later in the show. But Scott Burrell said he never touched me. He never laid hands on me. He just motivated me. He challenged me in ways I'd never been challenged before. And Scott Burrell says now, it's what I needed. He said, I knew Mike liked me. He likes me now. They text back and forth. He thanked Jordan in a sort of sarcastic way for the 1,000 interviews that he's having to do or getting to do now because of this documentary. And Mike texted him back, he said, and said, well, good luck with all those interviews. And Scott Burrell says, I wouldn't have a championship ring without Michael Jordan. I wouldn't have the head coaching position at Southern Connecticut State if I hadn't won that championship because of Michael Jordan. He made me a better person and a better basketball player. And I was there in 98 and I saw it happening. That was Scott Burrell's first year with Michael Jordan. And he did. It was relentless. It was ruthless. It was sometimes heartless, but it was working because once we got to the playoffs, I told you there was game 3 at New Jersey. It was sort of a turning point of the playoffs. 2 close games at the United Center to start that series. And who rose and shone in game 3 on the road before a crazed sellout crowd in Jersey? Scotty Burrell came off the bench, wound up playing 24 minutes and scoring 23 points because Michael had toughened him up. Michael toughened up Steve Kerr. Was he a great player? No. He toughened up Will Perdue. Was he a great player? No. Judd Buechler. Just stop it. You know, Scott Burrell. These are not great players. And Michael took that collection that I just named. That was about almost a third of the team in 98. He toughened each one of them up enough that they all contributed. Will Perdue wasn't there at that point, but they all contributed to championships. It's how he motivated. He motivated by fear. If you want to say Bobby Knight, the difference was Bobby Knight couldn't play basketball. He was a decent college basketball player, but Michael Jordan is the greatest player who ever stepped on a floor. He's also the baddest you-know-what who ever stepped on a floor or court or field in any team sport. And he knew he had to raise the level. He said, I pulled people along who did not want to be pulled. It's not bullying, it's leading. It's as simple as that. And I think most people might be horrified, but in the end did justify the means. It's win at any cost, paying a huge price. The price is 6 for 6. 6 championships in 6 tries. And I haven't heard one of those players in that documentary say, I hated him. I hate him now. They don't hate him. They loved what he stood for.
You do not understand how documentary work. Now, I'm not going to go get Craig Hodges. Once you go, so Skip, you do know how documentaries work. You go get people that's going to say favorable things, and if they say something unfavorable, guess what? You edit it out. Because remember, Michael has final say. So let's not pretend that every player that he played with loved Michael Jordan. And if it toughened up Scotty Burrell so much, why wasn't he able to take that and continue on?
Well, you just answered my question. Good. That's perfect. Bingo. He wasn't good enough. Yeah, Michael made him into that guy who contributed to a championship run, to the Last Dance.
One game. Skip. We've seen players have one game. That's what he had. He had one game in his NBA career. Skip, look at Timmy Smith. Timmy Smith had the most rushing yards in Super Bowl history. Okay, but you make it seem like
Shannon, no. That's all he needed. Michael wanted one moment from each of those guys, one stretch. He needed Steve Kerr to hit one big shot. He needed one big dunk from Bill Winnington to win a game at the Garden. He needs little big pieces, and he's got to toughen you up to make you on his level enough that you can give him a moment, just a moment. That's how he won championships, with moments.
I never, hold on. There are other players like Bird, Magic, Kareem, Russell that won a lot. Bill Russell got 11. Bill Russell got 11 championships. Now, look, I'm not good at math. I mean, because once we got past timetables, Jenny, and they started getting to algebra and calculus and trigonometry, I didn't do too good. But I do know 11 is more than 6. And you hear no stories. Kareem got 6 titles, 6 MVPs. You don't hear those stories. Magic got 5. Bird got 3. And you don't hear those stories. So this notion that this was the only way it can be done, now maybe in his mind for him, but to call it anything other than what it was, because, Skip, you know, a lot of things that was tolerated then isn't tolerated now, as far as, you know, how you coach a kid, how you talk to the kid, even workplace. Skip, you can't do certain things anymore. So for you to try to, the ends justify the means, look at those titles. No, Skip, you can't justify behavior. You can't do that.
Yes, you can.
Just call it what it is. He bullied him. Yes, they won, but Michael Jordan used his position, Skip, that's what bullying is.
Yeah, bullying is mean-spirited. A bully is a man who's really not a man. He's just bigger than you, but he's insecure about his manhood, so he needs to beat up on a smaller, more vulnerable person. That's not what Michael Jordan, he didn't need to empower himself by bullying Scott Burrell. He was trying to win championships. It was done in the spirit of motivation. It's completely different. And I have to address, before we go on, that you invoke the name of Draymond Green here. So here's the difference in Draymond calling Kevin Durant and LeBron James the B word, and Michael calling Scotty Burrell the B word. Michael Jordan is 10 times the player Draymond ever thought about being. Draymond is not half the player LeBron is, or a third of the player that Kevin Durant is. When Draymond used the B word, he was using it out of pure spite and hate. He truly believes that LeBron and Kevin Durant are capable of being that B word. And he did so out of malice, where it was personal. He used it as a personal attack on LeBron in the middle of Game 4 of the 2016 finals, and he used it last year, early in the year, on KD on the bench after KD opted to bring the ball up and not let Draymond have the basketball. That was pure spite. Jordan was using the B word to challenge, to motivate. He doesn't care if Scotty Burrell, there's no personal animosity between Michael Jordan and Scotty Burrell. He was doing it as the quasi head coach motivator of a basketball team that he wanted to lift with his sheer will and fear factor up to championship levels. And today, Scott Burrell says, I'm good with Mike. I love Mike. And he did not take it personally because it was not meant personally. I'm sorry, it's a huge difference between Draymond Green and Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
But Skip, and see, therein lies the problem, is that what you try and do is because it's Michael Jordan, he can say and do certain things, and we look at it differently if it's a lesser tier player. I don't know how a man calls another man a B, and because he's Michael Jordan, he doesn't mean it in the way the lesser tier guy did. Everybody knows what that word means. And he called him that, and he kept calling him. So let me get, you a B, you a garden tool, and it has different meaning when Michael says it as opposed to someone else. Come on, Skip. This is so utterly ridiculous. You know what Michael was saying. It's the same thing. It's just Michael Jordan is saying it. That's it. If you, Skip, look, if you like someone, it's hard for you to get off that mountain. It's just as simple as that. It is. And you're more accepting and more tolerable of the things that he says or he or she says or does. That's just the way it is. We see that every single day. You know what I'm talking about, Skip. So stop this notion. He was a bully. He was a hell of a basketball player. I got him number 2, but he was a bully.
Okay, so if you're right, Shannon Sharpe, about Michael Jordan being a bully, then this has devastated his image. And to your point, I want everybody to understand, Michael Jordan signed off on every inch of footage you see in this documentary. All the B words, all the garden tool words, all the ridicule behind the scenes that you were seeing, the quote-unquote bullying, or as Steve Kerr called it, bludgeoning, the challenging of other players, the forging of other players, all that Michael had to sign off on so that he knew he was risking his reputation. You might think he's a horrible person, but I still believe more people will come away thinking, wow, I even have more awe than I used to for Michael Jordan. It was tough, but it worked because he won at all cost, any cost, by paying a price. Everybody had to pay a price for all 6 of those championships. And to me, it was a beautiful thing to watch.
And that's why he tried to get out in front of the story, Skip. That's what you try to do. You know a salacious detail is coming out, and what do we see people try and do? They try and get in front of the story. That's why Michael Jordan, before we saw any clip, he was out. I'm concerned that people are going to think I'm a nasty you-know-what. He knew. He knew. That's why he said what he said, Skip. Like I said, it doesn't change anything for me. It doesn't change. You've heard stories. Now you get an opportunity to see it firsthand. You heard he was maniacal in his drive to be great. You get an opportunity to see it firsthand. So it changed absolutely nothing. Guess what? As a matter of fact, I'm going to buy a pair of shoes, and here's the day 2 that's coming out. Yep, gonna get them.
So you agree he's the GOAT,
Glad we're
right?
seeing the real MJ.
No. The shoe GOAT. He the
You don't
shoe
need
GOAT.
any
Yes,
more
absolutely. He's the
shoes,
GOAT.
Shannon. Actually, to be honest,
don't.
neither of you need any more MJ shoes.
No mercy.
So yesterday, Conor McGregor tweeted that despite not wanting to fight without fans, he'd take on Justin Gaethje in the octagon. Conor unloaded on Gaethje for Gaethje's September comments when he called Conor a bad human, father, and husband. In one of McGregor's tweets, he said to Gaethje, "I'm going to bleeping butcher you." Yikes, that is one way to put it. Shannon, who wins this fight? Whew.
Well, the thing that we love so much about the UFC, Skip, it's unlike any other sport because when they say anything can happen, anything literally can happen. I mean, we've seen huge upsets in this, and it doesn't take long. It's not like we got to see this thing play out. One clip, and it's over. Skip, look, I love Conor McGregor, and the thing is that Gaethje was an All-American wrestler in college. So the question is he going to try to use what he can, one of his strong suits, which is take Conor to the mat, tire him out, or he's going to try to convince the world I'm just as tough as Conor and try to beat him at his own game, which is standing. You see what Khabib did, Skip, Khabib. He could take Conor down, tire him out, drug him out to the deep, and he drowned him. Is what we've seen with Conor. He starts really, really fast. And then as the rounds wane, he loses some of that steam. So if Gaethje's going to tire him down, going to wrestling him, tire him down, okay, I'm going to take Gaethje. But if he thinks he can just stand, it's like, okay, I'm going to beat Conor at what Conor does well, which is boxing and striking. I don't believe he can, Skip. Now, Gaethje and Khabib have the same manager, Skip. The manager said that you had an opportunity to fight Gaethje in January. You chose to fight Cowboy Cerrone. Now, the issue is, Skip, I didn't see Conor in the octagon long enough to really gauge whether he can fight, say 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds for a championship, because it ended so quick with Cowboy. So I really don't know, and he took such a long time off from when he fought Khabib to when he fought Cowboy. So, Skip, we're talking about one fight in, 2 years, 2.5 years? So we don't know. Gaethje's been active. I think Conor would probably be the favorite, Skip. I really do. But I don't think it's fair for him to jump right back into the front of the line. But Dana has done this for Conor. Conor take time off, misbehave, and he moves right to the front of the table. So he automatically assumes, Skip, he should continue to move to the front of the table. But I think since the manager that he handles both Khabib and Gaethje, I don't think Conor's going to be able to jump in and get a match before those two guys hook up.
Okay, so let me start by re-emphasizing your point. The man who represents both Gaethje and Khabib says, no way, Jose. These two are going to fight next. And he well could be right. But he doesn't run this organization. Dana White does. And Dana White knows that Conor McGregor is still the biggest draw in UFC. He's the biggest draw in anywhere, in any sport, in any pugilistic or sort of contact sport.
He's the bell cow.
So to me, yeah, he is. And I told you yesterday, this is just me. The fight I want to see in July is Conor versus Gaethje. And I'm with you. Conor had a chance. He had a choice. And he chose Cowboy because he thought Cowboy, to me, was the easier opponent. He thought he could beat Cowboy. He wasn't sure he could beat Gaethje in his comeback bout. So he said, okay, let me take a little easier path here to get reestablished, to get back on the UFC map post-Mayweather fight. So, look, the reason I love this even more is now we've got this juicy bad blood backstory that started back in September of 2019 when, as Jenny read, Gaethje tweeted, you know, that Conor is a SH you-know-what, husband and father and human. And Conor responded yesterday, you speak on my skills as a father? You are effing dead. Well, good. Let's see it. Let's see them go at it. And Shannon, to your point about Gaethje, the shock to me about Saturday night was he obviously gave Tony Ferguson a textbook boxing lesson. There were no takedowns in the whole fight. There was no grappling, no wrestling, nothing on the ground. Gaethje stood and he exchanged and he landed shot after shot, textbook counterpunch after counterpunch. I'm talking about fist on bone, fist on cheekbone, fist on eye socket because he broke his orbital bone. And I was so impressed with Tony Ferguson, the great guts he showed, the pain threshold he showed to withstand so many shots and stay on his feet until the fifth round. And the fight should have been stopped, and it was stopped on time. He was done. But he stood a long time, and he took a lot of abuse, and he showed me a lot. But he was no match, just pure boxing for Justin Gaethje. So here comes Conor, who obviously prides himself on his pugilistic prowess. He went 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather Jr., the greatest defensive fighter we've ever seen in any weight class. And he hung in with him, and he did okay, and he was credible. So now he would say, oh, you want to box? I'll box with you. Okay, so who would I favor here? I do believe Conor has a little more knockout power than Justin does. Just a little bit more.
Right.
Is he a more skilled pugilist than Gaethje? No, he's not. Does he have a bigger heart, bigger will than Gaethje does? No. Gaethje is as tough as they come. So to me, I would give Conor the edge, but Conor would have to end this fight with a KO blow. And it would have to come sooner than later, maybe end of round 2, early round 3. He would have to catch him one big shot, kaboom, and he would have to go down and stay down. That's how Conor could win this fight. Because to your point, Shannon, by July, he will have been in the octagon one time in 2.5 years. Well, can you go the distance? Can you take that kind of can you exchange like that with Justin Gaethje for 5 rounds? No, I don't think so. Do you have the heart anymore after you made $100 million off Floyd in that fight? Nope, you don't. But could you land one big shot? Yeah, you could do that. You're showman enough. You're you've got enough it factor to land one big shot and put him down. So I would slightly favor Conor, and I would hugely favor these two fighting before Gaethje and Khabib fight.
Skip, I find it so ironic that Conor got so upset that this man called him out as a father and a husband when he said the exact same thing about Khabib. And Khabib almost killed him. I mean, he said the exact same thing. He talked about the man's faith, his father, his wife, all that.
He did.
And he just went livid about when Gaethje said the exact same thing about him, Skip. The problem, if you look at it, Skip, and Cowboy surrounding him, his fault is that, I'm going to stand and fight. I'm going to show him how tough I am. Well, Skip, if you know this is a guy's strong suit and this is his weakness, why am I going to try to play, in his wheelhouse? Skip, I got the number one rushing offense. They got 32 in pass defense. But I'm going to, you try to play to their strength. I'm playing to my strength, not your strength. So take him down, tire him out, because if you see Skip, that's when he starts to wane. That's what happened against Floyd.
I would agree.
He started out great. In the first 6 rounds, Skip, he was lively. But as it went further, it went 7, it went 8, it went 9, and it got to 10, he was out of gas. He couldn't even throw it. He's like, well, you should have just let me go. You couldn't even pick your arms up to throw a punch. You were done. Right. And the thing is about that, Skip, in boxing, you can take a break. They keep that pressure on you. Once they find that you're starting to wind down in the octagon, man, they keep that pressure on you. Mm-hmm. Man, they hem you up, they get you in the corner, and then boom. And that's going to be the thing. Is Gaethje going to wrestle him, tire him out, and then take him out later? Or is he going to try to prove how tough he is, get all into it, okay, Conor, I'm going to show you, I'm going to beat you at your own game. Yep. Nah, Skip. I ain't trying to beat nobody at their own game. I'm trying to win a fight.
And Shannon, remember how Conor lost the first Nate Diaz fight? Nate I think he outweighed him 25 pounds maybe. And probably. Nate got him on the ground and wore him out because he was just too big and too long and too strong for Conor. So I agree with you. And yet, in the end, I'm still unsure what Conor's got left because, as you point out against Cowboy, he caught him with sort of an out of nowhere knee to the jaw, remember, to the face. Right. And that fight lasted 40 seconds because of that knee to the face. So I still believe in Conor, but I'll be the first to admit I love to watch him, so I'll be rooting for him. Maybe I'm talking heart over head here.
No mercy. With his new team in Tampa, Tom Brady has several elite receiving options, as well as the return of Rob Gronkowski. And according to Fox Bet, Brady now has the 8th best odds to win MVP this coming season. So, Shannon, is this just right or a bit too low for Mr. Tom Brady?
I'm surprised they're that low. Skip, in your 40 years of journalism, you understand that sports is just not about scores. It's about stories. Nobody coming into the 2020 season has a more compelling story than one Tom Brady. 20 years in one organization, leaves, goes to a franchise that has not been to the playoffs in over a decade, leads them to the playoffs, gets a play. Skip, the story is there. It's to be written. All Tom Brady has to do is the end. It's there. It's the most compelling story. Now, I think he should have been, obviously I believe he should have been higher, considering what the story is about around him. Now, we haven't had a back-to-back a regular season MVP, Skip, if I'm not mistaken, since Peyton Manning. And we're probably going to have to go back to 2008, 2009, something like that, maybe even further. But if I'm not mistaken, Peyton was the last back-to-back MVP. So, Mahomes or Lamar winning that, okay, yeah. But is that a more compelling story than Tom Brady leaving one organization after 20 years, setting out on his own, and getting a team that hasn't won, that's known for futility, into the playoffs? Skip, that's going to be an unbelievable story if that were to happen. And I think Tom Brady should have been a little bit higher on the MVP odds.
Wait a second. Did I just hear Shannon Sharpe give Tom Brady a real shot at being the National Football League most valuable player?
No, that's not what I said, Skip. I said he's too low. I would still take Lamar. I'm not putting. I mean, Skip, my homeboy is plus 375. I'm not putting no $375 to win $1. You're crazy. To win $100? No. I mean, Tom Brady's going to Skip. You know, gamblers, they do odds. I don't do that. I don't got the tolerance. I don't got the stomach for it. You know how gambling works. I don't got the stomach for that, Skip. A little bit, but not like this. No. I would take Mahomes. I would tell you what I'm going to do, Skip Bayless. I'm going to take Mahomes and L-Jack. I give you the field for 2 cases.
For 2 cases with field.
2 cases.
Well, you're going way out on the limb there, aren't you? How about I get Tom Brady and I'll bet you 1 case, but if I win, I get 22 cases because he's 22 to 1 on Fox Bet. Yes.
No.
Let's do the odds. 22 to 1.
No.
I'll bet you 1 case on Tom Brady. You give me 22 cases. That's what Fox Bet says.
Skip, I'm giving you the old Tiger Woods. You got Tiger. I got Tiger. You take the field. In this situation, I got L-Jack and my homeboy. You got the field. I mean, you got Russ. You got Aaron Rodgers. You got Drew Brees. Brady. Yeah. Come on, Skip. Dak. What about Dak?
Aaron Rodgers
Dak
has
like
0 shot. 0 shot. Okay. Back to my
Dak
premise
and
here.
Brady?
We're talking about Tom Brady here. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. is 22 to 1. The 8th choice, says Fox Bet. If I were a betting man, I'd put a couple of bucks or maybe a couple of more bucks on that.
Yeah.
Because I'm even hearing Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer on Undisputed. I think he's actually saying that he fears that Brady, story plus stats, will be right in the thick of the MVP race. Because I'll give you that. He does have a feel-good fairy tale narrative in place. You're right. He went to the worst franchise in all of sports in overall career winning percentage. He went to a team that was 7-9 and missed the playoffs last year. And he is in position with the weapons that he gains there, plus Gronkowski, to make a run at MVP. I've already told you that several times, sitting right here in this chair over the last month. He has a real shot, and it's not just because of story, because story alone will not win you MVP. You need wins and you need stats. And I believe Brady, in the end, will have both. I believe that Tampa Bay, or as I call them, Tampa Bay, they'll win 12 games, and I believe by 1 game, they're going to win their division, the NFC South. Okay. It may even be a dead heat. Maybe it'll be both 12 wins. I just believe that Tampa Bay will somehow have the tiebreaker and win the division. If they get to 12 off only 7 last year, and Tom can put up the kind of numbers Jameis did, but on the positive side of the ledger, he'll be right in the thick of it. Jameis threw for the most yards in pro football last year, 5,000 plus yards. Brady will throw for 5,000 plus, and I believe he will lead the league in passing yards. I believe he'll lead it easily in touchdowns. Jameis had 33 last year to Lamar's 36, which led the NFL. I believe Brady will throw 40 touchdown passes. I believe that Brady will cut Jameis's 30 interceptions down to under 10. I believe it'll be somewhere 9-ish. It could be 10, but it'll be like 40 to 10, 40 to 9. And with those kind of numbers and that kind of team success, it's going to be hard to keep him out of the race. And if you then throw underneath it the feel-good fairy tale narrative to gird it, to lift it, man, he's going to have a real shot. So I think 22 to 1 is outrageously wrong. And I believe that there's going to be this Tampa Bay tidal wave in Tampa Bay of an offense that will rival Mahomes and rival Lamar's because they have the weapons. Obviously, Tom had none of these weapons last year. Now he has 2 Pro Bowl wideouts. On top of Gronk, he has two other very good tight ends in O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. His offensive line got better with Tristan Wirfs, who they stole in the draft, trading from 14 to 13. He'll be their new right tackle. Stud, way to go. And I think Donald Jones, who's a second-round pick out of USC, who can catch the ball out of the backfield, and then my little man, Keyshawn Vaughn out of Vanderbilt, who they stole in the third round this year, will give him James White-ish kind of players coming out of the backfield. Then on top of that, Bruce Arians has football offensive genius about him. Tom Moore, the overseer, the advisor to this offense, definitely does. So you give Tom all that, that's a recipe for MVP. So it's not just the story he's got going for him. It's the firepower. It's the brain power. It's set up perfectly for him to have the perfect storm down on the Gulf Coast. So I love his odds. They should be way up there. They should be just behind Mahomes and Lamar as the third choice. And right now they're clear down at the eighth choice. And I believe that you are seeing exactly what I'm seeing, and you are scared to death of what Brady might do in Tampa Bay.
Well, Skip, look, at the end of the day, it's still a stat award. I mean, it's kind of like the Heisman Trophy, Skip. You could have team can be 14-0, but if you don't have the stats behind it, you're not winning that award. So at the end of the day, the MVP is a stat award. Now, when we get this compelling story behind it, Skip, like I say, we know Tampa Bay has been mired in futility for a decade. At the bare minimum, I'm saying a decade, and I'm kind of being nice. And you get Tom that left an organization with the success that he's had in New England, and all of a sudden, after 20 years, he leaves that, comes down to Tampa. So, Skip, you know what? I might put me about 25 bands on this thing right here. Hey, I'm just saying, I just might do that, Skip. I ain't got nothing to lose. I mean, with the odds, now look, for you to win any kind of money on, you can't even win no money on Patrick Mahomes, boy. Now, Skip, I believe Lamar Jackson, because of his legs, he's going to have, Skip, I believe he'll rush for over 1,000 yards again. He's going to have, I don't know if he'll throw for 36, but he's going to have, they added weapons around him so they can get better. Now, his passing might not be what it was last year because they did add J.K. Dobbins, so they're probably going to want to run it again. But, Skip, he's going to have numbers. He might have games where he rushed for 100 or rush for like 90 yards, 90 to 100, and then throw for 185 to 200. So when you look at it again, Skip, he's going to be over 3,000 yards. He's going to be over 1,000 yards rushing. So he's always going to be in the mix. My homeboy, Skip, you know Andy Reid. Andy Reid throws the football. My homeboy's going to throw it. And then they got the running back that they can dump it to out of the backfield. So he's going to throw, and he's like, you know what? Throw some more, and then, throw some more on top of that. So those two guys will be there. But like you said, I believe Tom will be there also. He has weapons. And if he can get this team, Skip, because remember, Peyton Manning would have won the MVP his first year in Denver had Adrian Peterson not had that ungodly season coming back basically 6 months off of a torn ACL. So Tom is prime. He's in a prime position, Skip. He sees the favorites, and he can just draft, and then maybe like the last 4 or 5 games, put some big numbers up, and then like the voters gonna be like, man, Tom, and plus Skip, he's 43. 43-year-old, getting a team to the playoffs, Skip, he don't have to throw for 5,000. If he can throw for 4,000 with, 30 touchdowns and get this team to the playoffs, Skip, I believe 11-5 season will win Tom Brady the MVP, Skip. And I'm going to put some money on it just in case he does.
Really? So you're going to put money on a quarterback that you have told me for 4 straight years here on Undisputed is washed up. You have said for 4 years, this is the end of Tom Brady. And you told me after last year that his skills had dangerously declined. And now you're saying you're going to put money on him to win MVP next year? How is that possible? I thought you would laugh at this question and say he should be 100 to 1.
I'm going to put 25 bands. That way, if I'm wrong, I'll be $500,000 richer for being wrong. That's what I'm going to do.
But wait a second.
22 to 1, Skip.
So you've completely flipped? I finally convinced you that the GOAT is still capable of being the GOAT. I've told you that at 43, I don't see any diminished skills. Tampa Bay said they saw no diminished skills.
Well, how about we go in and pool our little money together? You know, back in the day, like college days, Skip, we go get a couple of pieces. We go, hey, man, how much money you got? Man, I got $1.50. I got 50 cents. I got 75. We pool our money in. We go get a couple of pieces, you know, maybe like 3 boxes of donuts, something like that, Skip. So I think if we pool our money in, put this thing together, we can come out looking real good, Skip. I like money. I don't know about you, but I like money. Yeah.
I just appreciate the fact that you have admitted to the Undisputed audience that you believe Tom Brady is still fully capable of winning this coming season's MVP of the NFL. Thank you for that, Shannon Sharpe. I appreciate you. Humility.
What I've done to the audience is convince them that I like money more than I dislike being wrong. Skip, 22 to 1.
Sign.
22
Skip,
to 1.
this is a good sign. I'm going to remember this day. Shannon is starting to understand. Finally, do not bet against Tom Brady.
No mercy.
In just 5 days, it's a day we've all been waiting for as NASCAR returns. Don't miss the historic green flag and the return of live racing as NASCAR is back Sunday, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on Fox. Cannot wait for that. All right, guys. The Dallas Cowboys still famously claim to be America's team despite not winning a championship in the past 25 years. During that drought, Dallas also hasn't even made an appearance in a conference championship game. And last week, they didn't crack the top 10 sports fan bases in America, according to Forbes. So, Shannon, how do you explain the Cowboys still being known as America's team?
Well, it didn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense. The only thing I can think of is that they're delusional. But I will give them credit, Skip. Their fan base is very loyal. And considering that since they last made a Super Bowl appearance, we've had 21 teams to reach that destination. 13 have won Super Bowls. You got the Patriots have gone 9 times since the Cowboys last went to the Super Bowl. They won 6 of those. The Broncos have gone to 4. So when you look at it, Skip, there's nothing for you to say this is America's team. They came about in 1960, didn't have a whole lot of success in the 60s, had enormous success in the 70s, did absolutely nothing in the 80s, had tremendous success in the 90s, and didn't do anything in the 2000s, didn't do anything in the 2010s. So maybe now is their turn. That's the only thing I can think of, because if you look at it, Skip, there's no reason for this fan base to be this devout when they've given them nothing to celebrate in 2 decades, well, a quarter century. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. You would think it would be the Patriots, but given their history, Spygate, Deflategate, Tom doesn't have really a personality. Bill Belichick doesn't say anything. He's very dismissive. So you can see why because they don't really have, outside of New England, they don't really have anybody that you want to put your arms around and like fully embrace, Skip. At least the Cowboys, Jerry's gonna hog up a lot of the airtime, Skip. You never know what he's going to say. And they have a lot of different personality. So for me, Skip, I don't get it because they don't win. And I think America, we are known for winners. We love winners. Even if it's not us, Skip, even if it's not Americans that's winning, we like the guy that's winning. Because Roger Federer and the dog, Djokovic, they ain't got nothing to do with America, and we still root for them. But the Cowboys, I don't get it. But guess what? They got to have a couple of more years of futility, which will serve me very, very well.
Okay. Allow me to explain to you the most phenomenal phenomenon in the history of professional sports. America's team, still the #1 TV draw, the most popular team in pro football, and hasn't been to an NFC championship game since the end of the 1995 season. I was there writing my 3rd book on the Cowboys way back then. By the way, quick point of order. We Cowboy fans are not delusional. We're just faithful. We hang in with our team because every year, Jerry Jones at least gives us enough that we think we might break through and win this coming year. And we know that everybody else out there fears we might have enough to break through and win this coming year.
No, they don't.
Shannon, almost every NFL fan was raised to either love the Cowboys or hate the Dallas Cowboys. It's an incredible phenomenon that I reinforce with my own sort of personal discovery. I told you I lived in New York for 13 years. I've now lived here for 4 years in LA. And whenever Ernestine and I are out on the weekend, I always see Cowboy jerseys. Southern California is a Cowboy stronghold, in part because they have trained out here, Thousand Oaks, Oxnard, for so many years. And New York is a Cowboy stronghold for reasons I've never quite been able to figure out, except that, as you can ask Ernestine, as we walked to the movies on a Saturday in New York, down 8th Avenue to 42nd Street, and we saw 88 jerseys or Romo number 9 jerseys or whatever it was, I often had conversations with these Cowboy fans. Hey, you from here? Yeah, born and raised in Brooklyn, Queens, wherever. How'd you become a Cowboy fan? Well, my dad was a Cowboy fan. Oh, but what if your dad wasn't a Cowboy fan? I constantly heard, it's the jerseys, it's the colors, it's the star on the helmet. It's just the coolest colors in all of sports. And it just got me. It comes through the TV into your eyes when you're 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and it gets into your soul. It happened to me when the Cowboys were first born. I always have loved the uniforms. And then what I've loved even more is year after year, since their inception, back in the early 60s, the Dallas Cowboys have always been the most interesting team with the most interesting players and plot lines every year. And now, since 1989, they have the most interesting owner in all of sports, and it ain't even close. Everybody knows that Jerry Jones, once upon a time, after winning 2 Super Bowls, fired Jimmy Johnson. Well, if he's capable of firing a coach who won 2 straight Super Bowls, Jerry Jones is liable to say or do just about anything. Yep, that's true.
Yeah, he will.
So we're on the edge of our seats. How many days go by here? Not very many, in which we don't talk about Jerry Jones. We're always talking about him because he's always saying or doing something outrageous, pushing the envelope, going over the line, maybe even over the edge. They're just constantly more interesting than any other team. And if you look at the star power they've had over the years, I saw Stephen Jones said in an interview yesterday that the most visited bust in Canton, where you are a Hall of Famer enshrined, the bust in the Hall of Fame that gets the most traffic is Roger Staubach's. Again, to me, he was the greatest Cowboy quarterback. Maybe some of the kids don't even know who he was, but all he did was win the Heisman Trophy at the Naval Academy, go and serve in Vietnam in the war, come back at age 28 and win 2 Super Bowls and barely lose to Terry Bradshaw and the Steelers in 2 more Super Bowls. He was all-time great, but he was Captain America. He was the essence of a pro football superhero. And people still flock to be near that bust. And then you think of Tony Dorsett and Too Tall Jones. And then all of a sudden, it's Troy and Emmett and Michael. And then it's Romo to Dez. And now it's Dak and Zeke and Amari and CeeDee Lamb. It's star power. It's always explosively entertaining and intriguing and interesting. So when you add all that up, it would help to win. But as long as you just think they have a chance every year, that seems to be enough. And that's why they got 5 more primetime games. And that's why I thank the NFL gods that we have them in many of our late afternoon windows, 4:25 on Fox. It's a beautiful thing to watch because you can't take your eyes off the Dallas Cowboys, whether you love them or you grew up hating the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, Skip, it's the car wreck that you look at knowing that you're not going to get out and offer assistance. Someone has a flat tire side of the road. You look, I hope everybody's okay as you drive by. And that's how the Cowboys are, Skip. You know they're going to mess it up. You mentioned Jerry Jones. Jerry is a cross between Al Davis and George Steinbrenner. He might say anything, Skip, but none of his sayings, like Al Davis, just win, baby. Al Davis, the quarterback must go down, and he must go down hard. You know, Skip, you've been around him, so you know how he is. And I think Jerry formulated a lot of his persona from Al Davis. But the dictatorship and the way he ran things, George Steinbrenner, look, you come in here, you shaving. I don't care if you got mutton chops or goatee or whatever you got, Skip. You shaving. You're going to play on this team. You're going to do like I say. Jerry says, this is my stage. This is my playpen. You want to play in the sand in here? You're going to do like I say. So that's why I say, Skip, he's a cross between those guys. When I come to the delusion, and you said, you touched on this, there's always next year. Man, if they'd have gave us that cash dance, we're going to beat the Packers and we're going to go beat Seattle because we had already beat them in the year. You keep perpetuating that. And then you had the one, man, if Dak could have got that ball back, if we'd have held the Rams on 4th down, Dak was going to lead us down there, we were going to score a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, and win it in overtime. You keep doing, you do that every year. Man, if Tony Romo and Jason Witten hadn't gone to Mexico, people forget about that, Skip. He pulled the Odell before Odell pulled Odell. If Tony Romo hadn't done that, man, we were set up because nobody can touch us. It's always next year. It's always, man, if Jackie Smith had caught that pass, Roger Staubach hit it right between the 8 and the 1. If he just catch that one, we're going to win the Super Bowl. So now you're talking about the Cowboys as the team of the 70s as opposed to the Steelers. Now they're like, actually, Skip, when you think about the 70s, the Cowboys really get bumped down to 3rd because the Steelers won 4, the Dolphins won 2, but Skip, that's 17-0. So that bumped them in front of the Cowboys, who went to 4 Super Bowls and ended up winning 2. So what could have been your decade, now you're 3rd, 5th. Yeah, don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. You already know what time it is.
No. We beat the Dolphins head-to-head in a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. They're eliminated from this conversation.
Skip, hold up. 17-0? How you beat that? That went down as the greatest in 100 years. That's the greatest team ever. And you lost. Skip, you lost to the Colts. You lost to the Colts. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Leroy Jordan is the MVP. Mm-hmm. No, who got the MVP, Skip, on the losing call? Was it Jordan?
Chuck Howley.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, points of order quickly. Tony Romo and Witten took their wife and girlfriend, respectively, to Cabo in the bye week. They had a bye week. Odell took his receivers to South Beach on a short week, a regular game week, to get ready for a playoff game up on the frozen tundra at Lambeau Field. And Dez did catch it. Dez did score with it, and the Cowboys would have beaten Seattle because they'd already won a regular season game at Seattle. And Dak Prescott, if they had Jared Goff backed up at 3rd and 8, and he ran for a first down. If they hold him and Dak gets the ball back, he is hot-handed. He's going to go score and tie the game at 30-all. I'm sorry. I know it. It's in my soul.
It's more Cowboy fans out there just like you that believe that bull jive. You were not going to get the ball back. You were not going to tie the game up. Dez did not catch it. And even if he did catch it, Aaron Rodgers was marching right back down the field, got back in field goal range, and took a knee.
No mercy.
According to NFL columnist Gary Meyer, several sources said that Bill Belichick was not the only reason Tom Brady left the Patriots. It was also his, quote, deteriorating relationship with offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. Last night, Brady posted on Instagram that the story was nonsense and to be more responsible while reporting. So, Shannon, does all this surprise you?
What surprises me is that how all these things are starting to get out, Jenny, after the Patriots didn't offer Tom Brady the contract that he didn't want. It's funny how things now get out all of a sudden when we never really got anything out of the Patriots. Now, all of a sudden, Tom Brady didn't get the 2-year, 3-year extension that he wanted. Now, he had a terrible relationship with Bill Belichick. He started having a deteriorating relationship with Josh McDaniels. Now, Skip, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Josh McDaniels, considering what he did to the Broncos the year and a half that he was there. But now, all of a sudden, Tom Brady wanted more influence on the game plan. Look, this is Tom Cruise, somebody in that side of the equation, putting out stories to make it seem like Tom was not coming back. All I've ever said, Skip, it would have been interesting. All that being said, his deteriorating relationship with Coach Belichick, the relationship with Josh McDaniels, had they given him a 2-3 year extension a year ago, would he have said, my relationship with Coach Belichick and Josh McDaniels is beyond repair? Mr. Kraft, I need you to move me. I don't believe that's the case. I believe this is all hindsight, trying to paint Tom Brady in the most positive light, that he wanted to get out of there. He was fed up. When we know in actuality, he wanted a multiple year extension, and they were only willing to go year to year until he got the offer from Tampa. And then it was too late. But they never made an extension offer before he got the offer from Tampa. So no, I do not believe this. I believe this is somebody in his side of the equation that's putting this out.
Okay. I will be the first to admit I'm torn over this one because I know Gary Myers very well. I worked alongside Gary at the Dallas Morning News back in the early 1980s, 80, 81, covering the Dallas Cowboys. He's excellent at what he does. He does not swing and completely miss. There has to be some truth to what he tweeted. And then he tweeted a second time, and he made the Josh McDaniels, sort of disintegrating relationship the fourth of his reasons that Tom chose to leave New England. But just for the record, Tom did respond yesterday on Instagram, and he said, please stop this nonsense. Please be more responsible with reporting. 19 years together, brothers for life, talking about Josh McDaniels. So I'm back to what you always say when sometimes you equivocate here on Undisputed. You say two things can be true. Well, right. I think two things can be true. I think they were having some conflict last year, some squabbles, maybe even some all-out fights over how much input Tom had into a certain game plan. We've seen them occasionally go at it briefly on the sidelines. Not often, but every once in a while. Tom runs hot during games. We know that. His engine runs hot. He can turn into Psycho Tom, and he is not to be messed with or trifled with during games. And there was the one time I thought Josh McDaniels showed him up, ran onto the field and was pointing like, what are you doing? Why didn't you see him? And Tom did not like it and responded accordingly when he got over to the bench.
Oh, you don't like...
Okay.
Oh, you don't like being shown up, huh?
Okay. No. Who does? So the point is, do I think some of that was going on? Yes. Do I think they're brothers for life? I do. And I do not believe this was the reason that Tom Brady left. And Gary Myers did not say it was the reason. In fact, he said that, number one, he was just worn out with Belichick. Number two, he wanted to create a competition with Belichick. And then he finally got to tired of McDaniels down the list at number 4. So, again, I think it's a close call, but I think both things were operating. I was just shocked to hear this because I'd never heard a peep of Brady versus Josh McDaniels. I thought, remember,
Skip, if you don't mind,
back in, what was it? Remember, February of 2018, Josh McDaniels accepted the Colts offer to be their head coach.
Thank you.
And then a couple hours later, he turned it down to stay with Tom Brady. And I thought maybe Kraft said, hey, I'll give you a little bump, a little raise, because you're positioned to be Belichick's successor. I think that's way on down the road. And when Tom left for Tampa, I felt a little sorry for Josh because I thought, man, you committed to Tom, and now you're kind of left behind with Jared Stidham. But I do think they're still on very good terms.
Skip, I think this is a situation where what we would term in the relationship is that Josh McDaniels jilted the Colts at the altar. because they're getting ready to do this press release and they're getting ready, and then he sends them like, nah, I'm not coming. Skip, I just want to know one thing. Where is the Patriots not offering a contract extension? Where does that rank on the reasons Tom Brady left? Because nobody's talking about that. That's number one. You and I both know that we can say that he could have been fed up. But guess what, Skip? He's probably been fed up. But he always had 2-3 years left on that deal. So he was fed up, but I still got this deal in where I want to be. It wasn't until that no contract extension. And that was the thing, Skip. I can tolerate a lot of things. And Skip, we heard us say this. It's kind of like relationship. We see athletes get a lot of them get divorces once they leave the said sport, be it football, basketball, or baseball. Girlfriend or wife can tolerate a lot when you live in that lifestyle and you got that cheese coming in. When all of a sudden that cheese ain't coming in, you coming in at 2 o'clock in the morning, or you hanging out with your boy, that ain't cool no more. See, it wasn't cool anymore with Tom Brady, with Coach Belichick being overbearing when we ain't got no contract extension. You see how that work out, Skip Bayless? See, I want to just go ahead and tell the truth. Just tell the truth. I didn't get the contract extension. Yes, I was tired of Coach Belichick not giving me the credit that I felt I deserved, treating me like I'm a normal guy, when everywhere else the superstars get treated. And I'm not saying, Skip, you got to have me a separate parking spot. Tom Brady parks here. I'm not talking about that. But do not go out of your way to be dismissive of my work and my accomplishments. What Coach Belichick has done, he's gone out of his way to try to make sure Tom Brady knows you get treated just like Matthew Slater, just like the 43rd guy, just like the 23rd guy on this roster. You're no different. You play quarterback, but I'm not treating you any different. He's gone out of his way. Yes, Skip, Josh McDaniels can get on your nerves. He's not the easiest guy. And Skip, if you go to the Broncos, Skip, if you find one person, Skip, now normally you can go somewhere and find one person that's going to say something good about somebody. One, you're going to find one. Skip, if you go to that Bronco organization, and if you find one person that says one good thing about Josh, I'll give you $1,000. If you find one.
Well, I could say one good thing. May I say one? Just one?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
He drafted Tim Tebow. I give him high marks for that. Huge credit. Right?
Well, Tim Tebow, but if he was still in the organization, Tim might say something good about him, but he would be the only one.
He might. He would be the only one. Okay, back to Robert Kraft. For the last 3 years, he was juggling 2 enormous egos, clashing wills, Brady, Belichick. And the only way he could juggle them is to keep Tom on year-to-year deals. He was still in Tom's corner, but he couldn't commit to Tom for 3 years, or Belichick is going to say, I'm out, man. I'm done. I'm quitting. So he tried to keep both of them reasonably happy with year-to-year Brady deals until the bitter end when Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported that Kraft, to that last Monday as free agency started, was holding out hope, said Ian Rappaport, that Brady would still commit for another year to New England. And when he was offered the 2 years, $50 million, 25 and 25 by Tampa, according to Ian Rappaport, Robert Kraft was more than willing to match that offer. So Kraft is saying, I'm on Tom's side, but I'm trying to juggle Bill and keep him somewhat happy. That's why it was year to year with Tom. And ultimately, to your point, it cost the Patriots Tom Brady. I'm happy about that because I want to see how Belichick can do by his lonesome. And he's going to have a long, hard year next year without Tom Brady.
And you mentioned, and Tom was unwilling. Tom's like, I want security. I don't want to go year to year. I think I've earned the right to go, okay, if I want to play until I'm 45, 47, 52, Tom feels he's earned the right to do that. And Coach Skip, the thing is, you can't serve two because you'll love one and end up despising the other. And this thing came to a screeching halt because, like you said, Mr. Kraft was in the middle. He loved both guys. He realizes, I don't get this without Coach Belichick. I don't get this without Tommy. But what do I do? What do I do? And he stayed in the middle as long as he could. And eventually, Skip, he had to take a side. Either he takes a side because if he took, Skip, I believe if he takes Brady's side in this and give Brady a 3-year extension, I believe he loses Coach Belichick. In the process, he was only willing to go 1 year, and he ends up losing Tom Brady. He says, I'm going to lose one. Which guy do I feel I could do without the most? And I believe he chose Coach Belichick. He stayed in Coach Belichick's corner.
No, he didn't. He actually was in Tom's corner in the end. He wanted him back for 2 more years. He might have lost Belichick, but I think obviously Brady is more valuable than Belichick.
Skip, it's like Jerry Reinsdorf. If Jerry Reinsdorf would have wanted to keep this thing together, he'd have said, Phil's coming back, Michael's coming back, and Michael's going to play. Phil is going to be the coach as long as Michael plays. And then after that, Jerry, you can tear it down. He had that power. If Mr. Kraft wanted Tom Brady, he'd have gave Tom that extension 2 years ago, a 3-year deal, and we would not have been here. I do not believe that, and you do not believe that. If Brady had 2 more years left on his contract in New England, we're not here. We don't hear Tom Brady requesting a trade, do we? No. So he sided with Coach Belichick, and here we are.
Really? So you're talking about the Tom Brady that you just said about 10, 15 minutes ago has a real shot at winning MVP next year?
Skip, what does that have to do with anything?
That's the guy. Shannon, you said it. We didn't make that up. Skip and I both heard you. And you know what? We're not going to forget about it.
No mercy.
Bulls legend and former teammate of Michael Jordan's, Toni Kukoc, said that he thinks that Kevin Durant, not LeBron, is the best player in the game today. So, Shannon, I have a feeling you may not like this one. I'm guessing you disagree here.
I vehemently disagree. And maybe Toni Kukoc said this because Kevin Durant's going to wear the number 7 for the Nets. Toni Kukoc was 7 for the Bulls. I don't know what it is. But, Skip, when you look at this, LeBron can just do more things than Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant can shoot the ball at a three-point line at a higher percent. He's a better free thrower. I'm not arguing that. They score basically the same. One is about 27.2. The other is 27.1. LeBron is 27.2. LeBron averages more rebounds, more assists, shoots a high field goal percentage from the floor. So for me, Skip, and Toni Kukoc is like, well, you know, they don't need guys to bring the ball up the floor like they used to, yada, yada, yada. Dwight Howard, anybody can bring the ball to the floor, but we have yet to see Kevin Durant consistently, game in and game out, year in and year out, be the point of emphasis as far as initiating the offense. That's not what he does. That's not what he's good at. Plus the fact, the most debilitating injury for a basketball player, Skip, is the Achilles injury. We have not seen Kevin Durant play in over a year. So for him to say Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA, having not seen him in a year, I don't know how he can come to that conclusion. But that's his opinion. I vehemently disagree with it. I believe LeBron is a better player than Kevin Durant. We'll get an opportunity to hopefully see that very soon, probably next year when next season kicks off, because now it's being reported Kevin Durant is not returning this season if they do resume the season.
I am highly amused by this because Shannon Sharpe, you just can't get a break during this last dance. We're now up to episodes 9 and 10, the conclusive Sunday, but it's been 5 long weeks of this. Yet just when you thought it was safe to hold your head up again, to hold it high, you get blindsided by a shot from the man who once upon a time was called the Michael Jordan of Europe, Toni Kukoc, who just matter-of-factly states, in my opinion, Kevin Durant's the best player in the league today. Well, duh. What have I been trying to tell you, Shannon Sharpe, for 4 years here on Undisputed? Kevin Durant is the best player on the planet. He has beaten LeBron James head-to-head in 2 finals in which he was the finals MVP because he owned 2 games, game 3s, in LeBron's house. So the biggest moments in those 2 seasons were owned by Kevin Durant, who then last year looked like he was taking over that series. It looked like he might even be on his way to stealing a 3rd straight finals MVP when his Achilles went. So if you want to use the Achilles excuse, I can't fight you on that. Obviously, he's been out of sight, out of mind this year, but he's not over the hill. He's not too old. I believe with the modern day Achilles reattachment surgery, he'll be just fine. When he comes back next year, he'll immediately reestablish himself as the best player on the planet because, as you always say, Shannon, he's a 7-foot monster with a 7'5" wingspan. He's the best mid-range jump shooter we've seen in this league since Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He's been a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year because he can really protect the rim and he can really rebound. And you brought up free throw shooting. It's not even close. I mean, he's almost a 90% career free throw shooter. So when you add up the total package, I think Toni Kukoc is saying, what can't you see? Because Toni Kukoc can relate in little big ways to Kevin Durant. Toni Kukoc was 6'11", is 6'11". And when he came in, he could shoot it like no 6'11" player that we'd seen. So he was the sixth man of the year, and he was an important part, an important piece of several Bulls championship runs. And the point is, he gets it because he was kind of that player. He wasn't Kevin Durant, but he was pretty great. And he looks at Kevin Durant and says, well, that's how I played. So that's more valuable than LeBron. Yeah, it is. I just find it highly amusing that you even have to take this from Toni Kukoc.
Skip, look, I think the thing is that with this Last Dance, I mean, obviously these guys are getting more interview requests and they're chiming in, but this is also this opportunity for them to like, okay, yeah, Michael was the great. Look, do you? But it's just hard for me to see a scenario. And what you tried to do is that, okay, his team won. So in other words, all those years, Isaiah's team was beating Michael. Isaiah was a better player than Michael Jordan, right? Is that what we're saying? Because if my team wins, well, why not? That's what you just did with Kevin Durant and LeBron. You said because he won, they won. Isaiah Thomas' team beat Michael Jordan 3 straight years. So Isaiah had to be the better player, right? That's how we doing it. My team beat yours. The best player from that team is the better player. So why not?
No.
So why are we changing this now?
Because as John Sally said, we knew if we didn't rough him up before he launched, once he got up in the air, John Sally said he wasn't human. They had to have a whole set of rules to stop Michael Jordan. Sam Smith's book, The Jordan Rules. Yep.
Yeah, the rules were sound basketball. He's a right-handed dominant player. Let's push him to the left and let's bring help from that side. Let's keep him from the right. Don't let him get to his right hand. Don't let him elevate on the right. We're going to push him to the left because he doesn't have he's not LeBron. He's not going to be able to skip past it or hammer pass out of it. So let's push him to his left hand, make him take the shot. If he comes to the lane, let's put him on his butt. What's so hard about that? That's what they did to all great players. You didn't get no cheap layups. You know that. That's what happened, Skip Bayless.
Shannon.
So I just want to know. Go ahead.
It took 3 bad boy Pistons playing football to keep Michael Jordan from beating them. And as he grew up, he beat them only 1 time the first time, then won 2 games, 3 games, and finally swept them, and they were done because he figured out how to overcome football-playing bad boys.
You see the difference? People didn't like the bad boys, but tell me the difference between the physicality and what the Celtics played with against the Lakers in 84, 85, and then what we saw with the bad boy Pistons. Because you remember Kevin McHale snatched him out the sky. You remember, right? When Robert Parrish just banged on Bill Laimbeer. But because we like the Celtics, we like Parrish, we like Bird, we like McHale, we like DJ, we despised Isaiah. We did not like Rick Mahorn. Dennis Rodman was an irritant. And Bill Laimbeer, how dare anybody like Bill Laimbeer? You see, Skip, if we like somebody, we can tolerate their actions no matter how bad they are. Kevin McHale was snatching people out the sky. They weren't letting people come into the lane, but we liked the Celtics. So I say again, those 3 years that Isaiah team beat the Bulls, Isaiah was a better player than Jordan because I'm just saying, that's what you said. Kevin Durant team won.
It's not
Kevin
what
Durant
I said.
was the best player. Okay, what you saying?
Okay, you know what you told me, that Draymond Green went out in the parking lot after they lost LeBron, blew the 3-1 lead, and cried on the phone for Kevin Durant to come save them. So the next two finals boiled down to Kevin Durant as clearly the best player on the Golden State Warriors versus LeBron James, clearly the best player on the Cleveland Cavaliers, though he had a lot of help from Kyrie. But, so now it's head-to-head in LeBron's house, Game 3. Kevin just took both games over. Shannon, he's just better. He's more valuable.
Skip.
I'm sorry. That's star power. That's firepower.
Skip, you saw LeBron's numbers in both games. He averaged a triple-double in one finals, and he was, I think, 4 or 5 rebounds short of a triple-double in another finals. Come on, Skip. Now, see? Now, Michael Jordan put up these numbers in losing causes, and we held him. He went toe-to-toe with the... But he lost. But look at the numbers. LeBron James averaged a triple-double in like 4 or 5 rebounds short of another triple-double, and oh, my goodness, he's terrible. He couldn't do anything with Kevin Durant. Come on, Skip. We got to stop this now. If we're going to be fair across the board, be fair all the time. That's all I'm saying. You and I both know
Shannon,
Kevin Durant is unbelievable. What?
LeBron got swept, and he got gentleman swept by Kevin Durant and company. I'm sorry.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, it's over, Shannon.
Let me ask you a question.
It's over.
Let me ask you a question. If I take LeBron and I put LeBron with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and I take KD and I put him with Kyrie, Kevin Love, and the next year, no Kyrie, Kevin Durant winning 2 titles? No. You and I
both know. He might have won one or two.
You imagine?
He would have won one.
Skip, can you imagine the looks that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson going to get with LeBron James playing the point, driving and kicking? We saw what JR was getting. We saw what Channing Frye was getting. We saw the looks they were getting with Kevin Love. Can you imagine what Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the looks they were getting at the three-point? Man, we averaged 25 threes a night. 25 threes a night. That's what we average.
Shannon, you've told me that LeBron James is the GOAT. He should have been able to do it by himself. Michael Jordan scored 63 at Boston Garden by himself against Larry Bird.
But he lost. Skip, you do realize in game 1 he scored 49. He lost. He followed that up with 63. He lost. He lost to Isaiah in 87, in 88, 89, and 90. He lost. No matter how well he played, he lost. So why can't we get that? Why does a loss for Michael is a win, but a loss for everybody else is a loss? I'm confused with that thinking.
Wait, once Michael Jordan got to the finals, what started happening? 6-0 happened. Skip, LeBron is 3-6. Game over.
So LeBron would have came out better losing in the first round and not getting to the finals and losing, right?
No, he came up small in several finals against the Spurs the first time in 2007, then against the Dallas Mavericks, the all-time meltdown. That never happened to Jordan. No one ever said Jordan melted down in a no, sorry, not in any of those series.
Lost. Skip. But see, this is what I don't understand. You expected LeBron to beat the Celtics in their prime by himself, but you said, Michael, that was the big 3 Celtics. He wasn't supposed to win that game. Who picked LeBron to beat the Spurs in the finals?
Who picked him?
Yeah, nobody. No, the Vegas, nobody. Fox Bet wasn't around at the time, but nobody had in 2007 that the Cavaliers were going to beat the Spurs.
They didn't win a game. They didn't come close.
Michael knows about not winning a game. He got swept in the first round.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, nobody on the Spurs said that was God disguised as LeBron James on the Cavaliers. Nobody said that. Nobody thought that.
Well, I don't know if there's someone that's higher than God, but Larry Bird told God tail up that time in '86. Whipped him good, too.
No mercy. Scott Burrell was frequently pushed by Michael Jordan in his final season with the Bulls. Some have thought Jordan's tactics were harsh, but apparently Burrell never thought so. Burrell told USA Today, quote, "I never took it as him being cruel or him being evil. People talk junk to each other playing basketball all the time. He never physically touched me. So he said some words. Why should words hurt me? I'm an adult. I'm learning every time I step on the court. I'm being pushed like I've never been pushed before. I needed that." So, Shannon, what is your reaction to now hearing Burrell thought of everything?
That explains why Scotty Burrell lasted as long as he did in the NFL, because he's not built with the right stuff. There has to be a limit on what someone can say to you, do to you, and you not respond. That explains it. Now, for me, I love talking junk, but there's a line that you don't cross. I like to think I was one of the great trash talkers in NFL history, but there are lines that you don't cross. And, I think Jordan went over that line on several occasions. Well, Scotty Burrell, hey, he didn't think so. So, Skip, I'm not telling someone how they should feel. You took it, you was there. But for him, I got a ring out of the deal, and I was able to do this. So, in other words, he's justifying behavior. That's kind of like Bobby Knight supporters did for a number of years. They justified it. Look at the kids that graduate. Look at the championships that we won in 76 and 81 and 87. That justified his behavior. Scotty Burrell is saying, yes, Michael Jordan might have said some things but I won a championship. It, got me this job. I don't look at it like that. That's not how I am. But so hey, to each his own. I'm not here to tell Scotty Burrell how he should feel. He said he didn't feel it in a certain type of way. It's just words, but it's hard for me to believe. I believe there are words that can be said that would get Scotty Burrell to act a certain way. I'm sure, I don't know if he's married, but if Michael Jordan would have said what he said to Scotty Burrell, someone called Scotty Burrell's wife that, I'm sure he'll have a different response. And then my response is, well, Scotty, it's just words. Shouldn't matter.
Okay. I have to say about Bobby Knight, he was a mean-spirited bully. He bullied the media. He bullied his staffers. He bullied NCAA executives. He bullied everybody around him, and it came across as loose screw kind of bullying. Michael Jordan was quote-unquote bullying. Go ahead.
Didn't he try to bully Jerry Krause? By saying, look, if you don't bring Phil back, I'm leaving. That's bullying. If you don't do this, I'm going to do that. That's bullying, Skip Bayless. You try to talk about it's mean-spirited. So that's bullying, right? And he wouldn't do interviews. I mean, think about it, Skip. The media ran.
It's
go ahead.
motivating. This is what Scott Burrell is trying to tell you. I needed to be pushed. I believe all those players who were not very good, Scott Burrell, Steve Kerr was just okay, Will Perdue, Judd Buechler, they're just guys who needed to be pushed by the greatest player who ever stepped on a basketball court or any kind of playing field. And Scott Burrell is saying, I knew he liked me because I believe Michael did like him. He said, my family knew he liked me. He said his family watches the documentary like it's a sitcom. They get a kick out of it because they know what happened. They know Scotty Burrell responded greatly to it and that he had a huge game 3 at New Jersey in those playoffs, scored 23 in 24 minutes. He contributed because Michael toughened him up and made him into a contributor for a championship team. And Scott Burrell said, I hope that people don't think Michael was a tyrant because a majority of the players who played with him benefited hugely. They won rings. They got things after they were out of basketball. Scott Burrell says, I doubt I'd be the head coach at Southern Connecticut State University right now if not for my time with Michael. But when he was asked, well, can you coach your kids today the way Michael was pushing you? No, he said, you can't get away with it. He said, I would lose my job. Everything's a little softer today. Everything's a little more touchy-feely, PC. You can't operate the way Michael was allowed to operate within the confines of the Bulls. But Scott Burrell says, I could have asked for a trade. I could have quit, like a lot of people might have quit. And he said, that would not have made me a better player or a better basketball player. Michael did. He did. There was method to this madness.
Scotty Burrell wasn't scared. He had that one game. What you mean it made him a better player? It made him a better player for one game? You never heard of Scotty Burrell again.
That's all Michael needed.
It was one game.
One moment.
No, but
he needed little contributions from mediocre players.
Skip, Skip, that's the difference between Dan Reeves being tough on me my first 3 years, because I believe that helped me down the road, as opposed to someone being, but Dan didn't bully me. What Dan was telling me, said, well, Shannon, how can you remember all the raps, all the words to these songs? You know every song that comes on, Shannon, but you gagging these plays.
Shannon, you're in the Hall of Fame. Help me out. Is Bill Winnington in the Hall? Is Scott Burrell?
No.
Is Will Perdue? Is Steve Kerr? Is Judd Buechler? These are just guys that Michael toughened up. They're not Hall of Fame bound players. Look at the guys I just showed you. He's winning championships with all those guys. They're just guys. Michael forged them in steel. Michael was tough on them. He ridiculed them. He made it hell for them. And they all rose up to levels that they'd never thought about reaching.
Skip, when you look at these guys, you look at them and you say, well, they're not very good. And maybe on the outside, but for the Bulls, it's kind of like the Patriots. When you look at the Patriots and you look at them, you're like, those are just guys. And probably so. But for that system, for what they're being asked to do, they're perfect. They're perfect for that system. Skip, at the end of the day, like I said, you can motivate all you want to. Clearly, you got some level of talent to reach that level. So you got to be somewhat talented. But let me ask you a question. The guys that are self-motivated, yeah, you might need a kickstart. Those are the guys that go on and be great, historically great, all-time great, Hall of Fame great. Scotty Burrell didn't have that in him, and Michael Jordan couldn't pull it out. He pulled it out for one game. But as a first-round draft pick, and all you got to say for your career is one game, and you was the brunt of a lot of trash talking and Michael Jordan, nah, that's not a good trade-off for me, bro. But that's just me. Scotty Burrell, all more power to you.
They still text. They're still friendly. I'm sorry. Everybody who was around him, in the end, they loved him. No mercy.
So after giving us just a snippet last week, Mike Tyson posted a longer highlight video of him training that ended with him looking at the camera and saying, I'm back. So Shannon, could you see Tyson fighting a current boxer right now? Possible?
I don't see it, but we're talking about how high a ranked fighter are we talking about fighting. The thing is that Mike hadn't fought in 15 years, Skip, and there's a difference between fighting and posting something on, hitting the miss and posting that on Instagram as opposed to being in an actual fight. And there's still a fear factor with Mike Tyson, Skip, and that was the thing that you're going to have to get past. That is Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champ to ever step into a ring. And so you're going to have to get past that, Skip. But for me, Skip, you can do basketball. You can play tennis. You can play, flag football for charity. How the hell do you box for charity? Who taking body shots, Skip? Who taking shots to the head for charity? I'm trying to figure out, I can't get, how do you do this for charity?
I agree with that. But I must say, as I watch the video, I see rare power, hand speed, attack mode for a 53-year-old. And I think, gee, if Mike really has his life turned around like it seems like he has, yeah, I'd watch him box a legitimate boxer, a ranked fighter. Again, if you talk about Tyson boxing in a senior division, I don't know a senior who would get in the ring with him. He's just too dangerous right now.
Yes.
Hell no. Yeah, I'm with you. So the point is, would some, 30-year-old, 20th ranked heavyweight in the world, would they get in the ring? Well, then I don't know if Mike could go 12 rounds. He might be able to go 6 or 8. So the point is, Would I pay to watch it? Yeah, I honestly would. So I am pulling for him to try to find some way to compete again.
Skip, you see that power? He's still sitting down on all his punches. He's throwing every punch to try to end the fight. And right now, Skip, I'll watch somebody build a house. I just want to see something on TV that I can get behind that's not tape delayed.
No. Did you see the power? That video was insane. All right, guys, that is it for Undisputed. We will be back same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern on FS1. Have a good one, guys.
Undisputed.